Good afternoon, everyone. You join us live on the Effing Racing Show for the F1 Sprint from the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, a historic racetrack near the city of Monza, north of Milan in Italy. Built in 1922, it is the world's third purpose-built motor racing circuit after Brooklands and Indianapolis. Today it plays host to Formula One's second sprint in history before the main Italian Grand Prix tomorrow. Here to watch along with you all on Twitch, Facebook and on YouTube is me, Jez, and my wonderful co-host, Duff Valley. How you doing, sir?
How you doing?
I'm very well, very well. It's already been a busy day for me. I've done a bit of Call of Duty already, and I'm looking forward to the sprint. I think the sprint is something that should be added to the Formula One calendar so that we can do this more regularly in the next season.
And the biggest key is it's so much better for the fans that have paid for a ticket to be there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because now every day is important.
They are at a position where there are lots of disgruntled people after the Belgian Grand Prix a few weeks ago that didn't get to see a main race. If they've got a sprint on the Saturday, would they be as disgruntled? Would that maybe make up for it?
I don't know. It depends if they only had Sunday tickets.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. But does anybody really want a Sunday ticket for an F1? You go for the whole weekend,
you go
right?
for the whole thing.
There's so much racing. It's not just F1 that you get there. That you're getting either F2 or F3 9 times out of 10.
W Series
and all kinds of stuff. So,
Porsche Super Cup usually, and so much stuff to kind of fill your day. And then weekends. I don't know at the moment, but pre-COVID there was always concerts on as well, and they try to make it's more of a festival than a race weekend. Yeah.
So don't do yourself a disservice. Buy yourself a weekend ticket and just do it properly. That's the way it's done.
Indeed.
But we digress. F1 Sprint, second in history. We were lucky really with the first one in Silverstone. That wound up being a fantastic experience and equal in my eyes to the race the following day, really.
Definitely. It got the first few laps were good. It got a bit procession-y. Let's hope today's not the same. But for those that are watching that don't know what the sprint is, it's a 100 kilometers. It is a race, but they don't call it a race. They call it the sprint.
Yeah, they get a bit ratty if you call it a sprint race. It's not a sprint race. It's F1 sprint. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. You can't copyright the term sprint race, but you can copyright F1 sprint. So okay.
So 100 kilometers, which I think at Silverstone was like 17 laps. Here it's 18 laps. Sort of between 25 and 30 minutes. There are no mandatory pit stops whatsoever. Tyres are completely free choice. So it's not like normal where once you qualify, you have to start on the Q2 tyres you qualified. Completely free start, which at this race is going to be key.
Mm-hmm.
The grid was decided yesterday with a standard qualifying. Points for first, second and third. So 3 points for first, 2 points for second, 1 point for third. There's no podium. The podium's only for the race. You go around on a weird little truck. And last time, you remember they had that kind of...
The wreath thing.
The wreath. Apparently they don't have this race. When Ted asked what they're having, they just said it's a surprise. So, interesting.
I mean, it would be nice if they did something kind of specific to the place for each sprint winner. I'm not quite sure how a wreath fits into Silverstone, but you may be able to shed more light on that. But maybe you get a golden pizza or something for Italy, or some other outrageous stereotype such as that.
Yeah, a trophy in the shape of a calzone or something.
The Golden Calzone sounds like a fantastic trophy, to be honed.
Sounds like a great restaurant as well.
I'd go hell for leather for a Golden Calzone. That would be amazing.
Baked to perfection. Oh, Felipe Massa.
It is Felipe Massa.
Well,
It-
I
wearing,
did see he was on the. I think he's working for F1 this weekend because after qualifying, he was asking the questions, and they didn't show him to start with. And I was like, "That sounds like Felipe Massa. What's he doing there?" And then it was.
Rue, welcome in. How you doing? Are you an F1 fan, Rue, or are you just here for moral support? Either way, thank you and you're welcome. Right. Let's just quickly recap our predictions that we set last week on the Effing Racing show. So you predicted, sir, a Lewis win, Max second, and Bottas third. How'd you feel about
it? Right, people, different order. It depends. It's all on tyre choice and the first corner.
Tyre choice in the first corner, okay.
Well, I'm fairly confident, yeah. I might have maybe... No, actually, yeah, I'm very confident. Why not?
I think you at least deserve to be more confident than me. My top three is Max, then Lewis, then Perez. I'm confident in Max and Lewis being there in some way, but I'm less convinced about Perez now, who starts this sprint in 9th.
But it's probably the driver over the last 2 years that's come through and had the most overtakes in races altogether.
Yeah. So, we'll see. As long as it doesn't become as procession-y as things became at the end of the Silverstone sprint, then things will be okay.
I can see it being interesting at the start, a bit because of the different tyre choices. There is going to be some tyre management in the middle, so it's going to be possibly mad at the start, a bit samey in the middle, and then possibly mad at the end.
Okay, fingers crossed for some excitement. And Reese, in his absence, still made his prediction. He went with Max and Lewis, same as me for the top two, and then he's got Norris in third, which I would be
There's
more
potential
confident
there. He's fourth.
Yeah, I would be more confident in that. Yeah. Rue is here for channel points. I've got some bad news for you there, and to remember your name. Okay, well, it's up here above my head, so there you go. That should help you. But this Jez Show Sports channel on Twitch is not an affiliated channel, so there are no channel points. But,
unlucky.
But you can.
You shouldn't have said that. We've just lost a viewer.
You can definitely hang out and observe our wonderful faces. But yeah, so for those who are watching us, my name is above. I am the Jez Show, and here is Duff Valley down below. Okay, now this race today takes place on September the 11th, 2021. And we should definitely make a note of the fact that it's the 20th anniversary of the events of September 11th, 2001. Obviously, the incident involving the Twin Towers and their collapse. We've had a little conversation about it pre-stream, but you and I both vividly remember where we were when this all took place. What are your memories of this day 20 years ago?
I remember being... Well, first I was at home and just as you do, watching the telly, and kind of everything turned to the news. Every channel, it just became the news, no matter what.
Yeah.
Seeing smoke coming from the first tower. And then watching live as the second plane struck, and then I had to go to work in a pub, and then getting there and just barely anyone being in. I think everyone was just stuck watching the news, and all us in the pub were just they're watching as well. I recently, who was it? I can't remember who now. I can't remember if it was at work, but I'm sure I was with a guy was I with him? That, like, their brother actually worked in there. I think it's a train driver.
Okay.
his brother worked in the Twin Towers, and obviously he had to go to work and spent like 12 hours without any information. And finally, after 12 hours, he managed to find out that he was luckily okay and managed to get out.
Yeah, I was going to say, and wouldn't necessarily have even heard information after that 12 hours. People went a very long time without information.
Yeah,
because of the way it happened and the time of day that it happened. Early in the morning, in the working day in the States, just after opening at 9 o'clock, and in late afternoon here in the UK, 2 o'clock kind of time. And I remember I was in my last lesson of the day, which was IT, and my teacher, whom we colloquially and lovingly called Jeff, and he didn't seem to mind, just came into the room with about 5 minutes left to go, because he would routinely just give us stuff to do and then bugger off and have a wander around the school. And he was a very in and out of the room kind of teacher. But he came into the room visibly, shaken by something, didn't really say anything, and like just said, dismissed us, make your way to your buses and all that kind of thing. I'm like, okay, it's a bit bizarre, but cool, we're getting out early, let's go and get a good seat on the bus. Important stuff to teenagers. And as I was walking down to the buses and out the school gates, like, could just hear people buzzing about something that had happened, saying something involving planes and crashes, plane crash, like buildings, not really taking in anything that was happening, but getting the sense that something weird was going down. No real talk about it on the bus home. And then it was, as we were walking from the bus to home, me and Matt, my co-host on 2 Minute Warning, we bumped into just a guy that lived in the local area who knew that we were both air cadets and had gone flying and all that kind of thing. And in retrospect made a very crass and horrible joke, like about had we been let loose on New York today in our planes. I do, to his, not credit, I suppose, but at that point the full extent of what had happened wasn't really clear, and it just seemed like maybe it was a plane had crashed into something accidentally, and that it wasn't that big a deal, and maybe the driver of the plane, the pilot of the plane, might have been killed, but it wasn't a huge event. Then from there, got home. My mum had the TV on, obviously, and then it was only really the full extent of what was happening kind of hit home. And within moments of me getting home and kind of taking in what had happened, the first tower went.
Yeah.
And watching that on TV, like stood in my living room with my bag still on, like having barely got in through the door, was such a surreal kind of moment. And
oh god,
it's crazy how there are events in your life that you'll remember forever where you were and the entire like circumstances surrounding it, because there aren't many days at school that I remember that vividly, obviously. But we're going to I'll let you finish your thought shortly, but then we're going to go into a minute's silence for all of those that lost their life on that day, not only in the Twin Towers, but at the Pentagon, and in the time subsequent, all the first responders and firefighters and policemen who went into the towers and lost their lives. So it's a large toll, and we'll pay our respects to them here. But what was your last final thought with that?
First thing I did was call my granddad. My granddad's from New York. All his brothers, their sons, were all New York policemen. Brother and his son, New York Mounted Police. And the first thing I did was call him to make sure they were okay. And luckily they weren't on shift.
Yeah.
But went in and just to help out. So yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, and it is crazy. Like us here, 3,000 miles away, still the links that we have to the World Trade Center. I think everybody at least knows somebody who knows somebody that was affected that day. So it's a bit harrowing that 6 degrees of separation is so close to home, really.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, as I said, we'll enter into a minute's silence now to remember all of those that lost their lives 20 years ago on September the 11th, 2001. Thank you very much. Now, we have a sprint
Indeed.
to get to. Gonna get that right. Welcome into to Grimskulls, joining us on Facebook. Good to see you, sir. Feel free to share your thoughts and memories of 9/11. You joined us at the end of our conversation there, but absolutely, we can continue to talk about it over the course of the show. Monza now will play host to a sprint, 18 laps.
And then, this will determine the grid for the race tomorrow.
Yeah. Would you like to take us through the grid as it stands from qualifying yesterday?
I maybe shall. Yes. Let me just click this button. Done. Okay, so first on the grid is Bottas, followed by Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Daniel Ricciardo's the top 5. Then Gasly, Sainz, Leclerc, Perez, and Giovinazzi is the top 10. Giovinazzi again managed to get into the top 10 now that his future's on the line. Is it the case of should he have been doing this all season, or has this been the push he needed? Then after that, we've got Vettel and Stroll, 11 and 12. Alonso and Ocon, 13 and 14. Russell and Latifi, 15 and 16. Tsunoda in the middle there in 17th. Mick Schumacher, 18th. Robert Kubica, 19th. And Nikita Mazepin, 20th. A man whose name keeps coming up with the stewards every week.
Yeah, I'm wondering who he's going to piss off this week, really. It's not a week.
Oh, he already has.
Until Mazepin's pissed someone off. I mean,
just
yesterday, today and yesterday. I not even just Mazepin, but the chaos and the crowding during practices and during qualifying is something that definitely needs to be addressed.
It's been the same in every formula. It's been ridiculous. It really has here. Just to get the toe, it's unreal.
And I was saying to you yesterday in our little private chat for this, qualifying doesn't work in F1, but I don't have a solution. I've got no idea how to do it better. We've seen the problems that come in Formula E when you send people out in groups. Works fine on paper, but then as soon as the weather is changeable or the track conditions are changed in some way, and that definitely happens more in Formula 1 than it does in Formula E.
Because years ago, we used to have, they used to go out and set like one flying lap. But with 22 cars, it could be very different track from the first person going out to the last person going out. Exactly the same as Formula E, but obviously you've got individual drivers going out at individual times.
Yeah, well, the problem that you had in Formula E was that you ended up with a reverse grid, basically, because the fastest drivers went out first, and it was just bad luck that it had been raining earlier into the day, and then the track got progressively drier the more it was used. And
I think that is what hampered Sam Bird from winning the championship.
Yeah. Because
he managed to make up a lot of places, but just couldn't come back from 22nd or 18th.
Yeah.
It was just too much.
You were almost penalised for having done well in previous races, because it was set by championship standings, wasn't it? The order in which you go out in Formula E.
Yeah.
They may change it for next year. I think they were very cognizant of the fact that it didn't work. Hopefully, the FIA will look at Formula 1 as well, and do something. I'm at a loss to what you can do. Hopefully there's something that they can think of, but
yeah, definitely. I've definitely seen a number of different qualifying styles over the years. I think so far this has been kind of one of the better choices, but it's really is track dependent.
The only thing I could think of maybe is if you added in some kind of buffer, like you had to leave X amount of space between you and the car in front.
The key that I didn't realise is that they have to do a lap within a certain time.
Yeah, I heard that yesterday as well. Yeah,
which I didn't realise existed. So they're not only have they got to try and watch their own time, but then keep out of the way of everyone else.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because if you're not going at full pace, or even if you are going at full pace for that matter, it's difficult to get yourself off the racing line at any given point on the track. You've got to, in a split second, analyse where's the racing line, and then against your own instincts, get off the racing line and kind of maintain the pace that you're doing to try and warm up your tyres and get ready for your own lap. There's too much going on, even for these guys who are, the tops of their sport. So
yeah,
hopefully they can put their heads together. I think maybe asking the drivers is probably a good first step.
Yeah.
Asking what they would like to improve, and going from there. But we are now on the grid. We're getting ready to begin. Just bringing up the back end of the grid, the Mazepins.
I did see
of the world
that George Russell appears to have a helmet cam.
Oh, that's new.
Inside helmet cam.
That would be
good.
That would be good. Yeah, that was we're talking a lot about Formula E today, but that was one of the main things that we really liked about Formula E was the helmet cam, the driver's eye view. So
yeah,
if we can get a bit more of that in F1, it certainly won't hurt. Can't watch it for too long. You get a bit seasick. But right, the lights are building and the rubber is rolling in Monza for the second F1 sprint. Bottas off to a good start. Seemed to be a bit of crowding behind him. Lots of smoke.
Ooh, look at Max go through.
Lots of grinding on the ground. That corner is so crowded every time.
Yeah. That's such a hard corner, even in the F1 game.
Gasly's off. Gasly's off. There was some issue.
Front wing.
There was some issue with Gasly's front wing, and he could not maintain control of the car coming out of the corner. And he's off into the gravel. That's the
He's got half the barrier with him.
Yeah, someone else has just spun. Who's this? Green helmet? Alfa Romeo.
Kubica.
No, it's Kubica. Yeah,
and he can't.
That is a good bit of barrier that Gasly's collected and taken along with him. Team radio. He's okay. Gasly's okay. That's good.
Yes. It's similar to who was it? Heidfeld a few years ago. Well, once that front wing goes under your tyres, you can't steer. So
Yeah,
you just go.
You're just going forward, aren't you? Let's see what happened.
And I think it was it.
So he's gone up to one of the McLarens. He went straight into the back, and from there it sparks. The whole front suspension is kind of off to the right a little bit, and as you say, no steer whatsoever. Off he goes from the corner, straight across the gravel and into the barrier. Nothing he could do. He did quite well to kind of coast it or drift it a little bit, going over the gravel so that it wasn't a head-on.
Yes, definitely.
Good work there.
The key is, has it done anything to Lando's rear tyre? Hopefully it hasn't punctured his rear tyre.
Well, we'll probably get an indication of that very soon. And we just got a shot there of Kubica spinning, getting stuck in the gravel pit. But under a safety car, you've got time to come in and change tyres and not affect things too heavily. Multiple people, I expect, will come in. AlphaTauri are preparing, so that's
Tsunoda
coming in.
Did you see how quick he had to get out of the way of the spinning Kubica?
Mm-hmm.
That was impressive.
Yeah, split-second decisions. Jezzy, love your shirt. Thanks, man. It's my division shirt that I got free that somebody else won in a competition.
Nice.
I'll always be chatting won this in Any Button Gaming's one of his many charity streams. And it's not Alex's size or Alex's style, so it's mine now.
That's handy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So lap 2 of the sprint race, and we're already under a safety car, and 2 cars are already out. Oh no, Kubica look as though we managed to get back on track.
Yeah, but, he did just spin.
Yes.
I'm not sure there was any damage to his car other than what might have been caused by the gravel
Lewis
that
Hamilton
spun
had a
into.
Terrible start.
Yeah, so the grid as it stands is Bottas still leads, Verstappen second, Danny Rick third, good for him, Norris fourth, Hamilton now fifth, Leclerc sixth, Sainz seventh, Giovinazzi eighth, Stroll ninth, Perez 10th, Vettel 11th, Alonso 12th, Ocon 13th, Latifi 14th, Schumacher 15th, Mazepin 16th, Russell 17th. Not sure what happened to him, unless he just pitted. Did he just have a terrible start, did he? Did you notice anything?
He's not been great at starts, if I'm going to be honest. He's a great driver, but some of his starts this season have been pretty awful.
Yeah. And then Kubica in 18th, Tsunoda in 19th after his pit, and Gasly, the cause of this delay, arguably, is out.
I tell you one thing, with Bottas starting the race last because of all the engine penalties, if this was the grid, it'd be a massive blow for Mercedes.
It would, yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, Bottas has really got nothing to lose. He can really go hell for leather and try and pick up some points in this.
But Max had one hell of a start. Ooh.
Yeah, Tsunoda wasn't really happy about that little coming together he had with Kubica.
That was so close.
Yeah, it does look like it was Kubica's fault, to be fair, rather than Tsunoda.
When were they lined up on the grid? They went on board with Lewis's car, and it did make a clunking noise, and I instantly saw him playing with the clutch. So I wonder if there's something to do with the clutch that means he got such a bad start.
Who are we talking about? Kubica?
Lewis.
Oh, Lewis, okay.
Lewis, yeah, when they lined up on the grid, they went on board, and you could hear that once he got on the line, there was like a clunk, and then he started playing with the clutch. So I wonder maybe if there was something clutchy to take him off the line, because
not start very well.
No, that was terrible.
Yeah, I will say Formula One / Sky Sports. I think we've got to grips with what happened with Gasly now and with Tsunoda and Kubica. It would be good to see some other
here we go
from some starts. Yeah, okay, so the safety car is ending. We'll be racing again after this lap. Oodles, welcome in. Thanks for joining us on Twitch. Yeah,
not a big enough clunk.
We are live today on Twitch at Jez Show Sports, on YouTube at The Jez Show, and on Facebook at The Jez Show and at Effing Racing Show. Wherever you are watching us, we thank you very much for doing so.
Hope you're enjoying the race. All of the laps that we've had so far.
Oh yeah, all no complete laps.
Nope, this is pretty much how the F2 started.
Okay, 15 laps to go. We're heading back down
start
to get this going. Here we go, into corner 1.
The thing here now is that Max is going to get a great tow on Bottas.
Who is that? Vettel coming through nicely there, I think, or is that Stroll, perhaps? One of the
one
of the Lotuses.
No, that's Vettel. Vettel's kind of come into his own this season with Aston Martin, just as a person.
What did I say, Lotus? Where the hell did that come from? Aston Martin, indeed. I see green, I think Lotus. I can't help myself, apparently.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, wishful thinking, perhaps.
There's that beautiful racing green they had for their seasons. Until they went black and gold again.
Yeah, and I do like a Lotus. I can't fit in a Lotus with my advanced height, but I do like a Lotus.
Something good to come out of Norfolk.
Yeah.
Still made in Norfolk to this day.
That's two things. There are only two good things to come out of Norfolk, I would say.
What? Yeah. Unbelievable.
Do you know what the other one is? No.
Go for it.
You.
Wow.
There you go. Bit of compliment on a Saturday afternoon.
I know.
They are not investigating the collision between Tsunoda and Kubica. I think it's pretty reasonable to say that Kubica caused that and he suffered the consequences.
Yeah, definitely.
No real further penalty needed there.
Looking at predictions and that, I don't know what happened, but Perez is now down to 10th.
Great, yeah. Norris is up to 4th.
Yeah, Norris 4th, Ricciardo 3rd. Ricciardo was, after qualifying yesterday, was really kind of, kind of angry with himself that he hadn't done better.
Mm.
So he's really feeling the car this weekend and massively feeling the circuit as well, which is great to see. He's definitely changed after the summer break.
It is nice to see him actually do something, you're right.
Yes.
It's been a while since we've seen him pretend to be a racing driver, let alone pretend to be an F1 driver. So, yeah, no, good on him. He's up 2 places into 3rd. Norris maintained his place in 4th, and Hamilton down 3 places to 5th. George seems to be making his way back through the field. He's up to 16th.
Good.
Taking Kubica, Schumacher, and Tsunoda so far.
Let's just hope Mazepin doesn't take him out.
Well, there is that. But he's up next. I think he's fast on his tail if we look at the live timing.
Yes. Look at that helmet cam.
If we look at the live timing, actually, we get a view from the future.
Nice.
And we know that in moments on our live feed, Russell will indeed take Mazepin and get up to 14th place behind his teammate Latifi.
Who hopefully he should be able to dispatch as well.
Yeah, because as we talk about pretend Formula One drivers, I think Latifi definitely falls into that category. I would say no offence, but it would be redundant and also not true.
So
Hamilton is... Sorry, you go on.
Red Bull just chatting to Max Verstappen on the radio, giving him an update on the tyres. Everything seems to be okay at the moment. The biggest thing, we were discussing this before the race, is those that are on the soft, they reckon they'd only last about 15 laps. But because we've had 3 laps under the safety car now,
you'd be all right now.
Make
yeah.
such a difference.
And I don't know how many of them actually did end up starting on the softs, because there was an inherent risk in doing that.
Yeah, it looks as though Lando's on the red marked softs. The McLarens are both on the softs, and Lewis is on the mediums by the looks of it.
Oh dear. Well,
DRS has been enabled.
That explains why he's having such trouble doing anything about Norris, despite being within half a second of him. He's been trailing him for a couple of laps now, within half a second. So it's looking good for Norris. Hopefully, you can continue to hold him off.
Apparently, something has gone wrong with the transponder on Leclerc's car, because it was saying he was last. But he's not last. He is still 6th.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say that something had gone wrong with the transmitter on Lewis's car, and that he was complaining that no one could hear him.
That was my favourite thing from last race, is that Verstappen comment about, is he complaining about something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like he was sat alongside us doing our usual level of punditry. What's that? Day ending in day? Oh yeah, Lewis must be complaining again. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Bottas sets the fastest lap, 1:23.592. So he's looking good for this win, I think.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Which bodes well for your prediction, because you're the only one that included Bottas in it at all.
Yes. I had a feeling after he's got something to prove now.
He's got something to prove, and he's got nothing to lose. You know,
exactly.
He does not have to follow these team orders anymore. Like, what are they going to do? Fire him?
Yeah.
He's got his race for next year. He's got a job next year. He's going to be the number 1 in that team.
Yes.
I would suggest, regardless of whoever's with him. So,
Norris has been told track limits on turn 11.
He has increased the gap between him and Hamilton up to 0.8 of a second now. But Hamilton is lapping faster, apparently. 0.2 of a second faster. Is it 2/100ths? So it flashed up very quickly. 2/100ths of a second. Okay.
So yeah, it's still fairly close, which is surprising. It's closer than we would be if this was a normal race.
Yeah, we're at that end stage of the race already, aren't we? Like,
yes,
you normally get that frenetic start to a Formula One race, and then you realise that you've got the marathon ahead of you, and you just need to maintain your tyres and keep going. But there's a sense that isn't necessary for a sprint, and you can go all out all the way through. Perez was going for Stroll. He failed to take the corner. He did overtake Stroll, but I think he's going to have to give that place back.
I think he's going to have to give that back.
I don't think that was a kosher overtake, shall we say.
Oh, he's still squeezing him out.
He is. He obviously does not perceive that he needs to give the... Oh, and he's gone too wide. He's hit the gravel. He's really fighting to keep that space. He's probably going to have to give up.
Maybe he thinks he was pushed.
I would just let him through and then take him again. It clearly wasn't...
Yes, because Alonso's coming up behind.
Yeah. And it's clearly forcing him into some dirty territory. Yeah, there you go. He's just giving it back. He's told by the team it needed to happen. Now the bigger threat becomes Alonso behind. In their fighting, massively. Alonso is the kind of guy that can just take them both. It was very obvious in that replay that Perez just cut the corner.
Yep.
So
sod it.
Why not?
I tell you one thing we haven't seen so far, even with all the support racers. is anyone ploughing through the foam boards. That always happens at least once this weekend.
And you love to see it because it creates a spectacular bit of debris.
Yeah.
It just looks like an old monster movie, just Godzilla tearing through foam buildings on a set.
Oh, Perez has done him.
Alonso's not far behind.
Sorry, Jez, but that was one hell of a move.
That's fine. And Alonso's making one of his own. Oh, nearly. He had that slipstream. Stroll is all over the track.
He's having to be. He's having to defend like crazy.
Massively defensive.
There's also a lot of crap on the track there on that corner where Perez went off. He's put a lot of stones.
I'm pretty sure it is the corner that Perez brought the majority of the gravel onto the track with him.
Yeah.
So. Gravel wasn't really an issue last week as much as we were expecting.
No. It was
never really circled back to that. We were expecting it to be something that caused stoppage, perhaps, and it was not a relevant thing at all.
I think being a new track, people would be and with no data, people were just drivers were being cautious and not pushing it too much over the limit.
Yeah.
Especially with the forces on your tyres around those bank curves, they couldn't afford to make a mistake.
Yeah, and I suppose that, as any professional should, they saw the young guys in the lower leagues cock it up, for lack of a better term, in their practices, and learned from them rather than having to learn the hard way themselves, perhaps. But no, it was good.
Yeah,
it just reminded me.
I look forward to going back next year.
This Perez gravel on the track.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd be tempted to do that one next year because that just looked amazing.
It did, yeah. I mean, I think fighting for tickets with the Orange Army may be a difficult prospect, but if we can do it, I think I'm only going to be able to do one race.
Yeah.
So I'm not particularly bothered which. If it's that one, perfect. I'm all down for that. Equally, I'd be fine with Belgium or Silverstone. Any of those.
They reckoned it was actually really hard for Italians to get tickets to this race because they were all being bought up by the Dutch.
They travel well. I mean, we saw it at Silverstone how well they travel. There was so much orange at Silverstone.
Oh God, yeah.
Even with the legions of Hamilton fans, such as they are, it was very orange at Silverstone. So that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Right, 6 laps to go. Here is an update on your current standings. Bottas still leads, Verstappen second, Ricciardo third. Norris fourth, Hamilton fifth. He cannot get past Norris as much as he tries. He's still within half a second of him. Leclerc sixth, Sainz seventh, Giovinazzi eighth, Perez ninth. Stroll 10th, Alonso 11th, Vettel 12th, Ocon 13th, Latifi 14th, Russell 15th, Tsunoda 16th, Mazepin 17th, Kubica 18th, Schumacher 19th, and Gasly out.
Looking at these...
In Reese's absence, I will just say, as they go around the corner, that is a fake sign.
Oh, yes.
With the Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton telemetry, I don't think that's available for the drivers as they turn that corner. just throwing it out there.
I tell you, looking at it now, the top three, I think this could be our top three for the race because they're far enough ahead. I mean, Danny Rick's far enough ahead of Lando. Lando's got Lewis behind him to kind of keep him busy. So I think Lando could, Danny Rick could be third on the grid.
I think so. I definitely think that Bottas and Verstappen, barring any kind of mechanical issue, have got this. They are so far
they're miles ahead
of the field that you'd really need some kind of major issue to change that. But I see what you're saying about Danny Rick. He's two clear seconds ahead of Norris, who has to worry more about not losing his place to Hamilton. So, I think you're right. I think at least in the top 5, this is the way we're looking for the start of tomorrow's race. Chris Santos on Facebook, welcome in, sir. What happened to Hamilton, 2nd to 5th? He just had a terrible start. He had no oomph into the start. And then there was a crash, so he really couldn't do anything about it and make up that ground. All the way down in 5th now. He's he's been consistently within half a second of Norris since the restart, since we got back underway after the safety car, and he can't do anything about Lando. So, no. I don't know if there is some kind of car trouble. I would have expected to hear something on the radio by now if there was something wrong with the car.
Yeah, I've been monitoring the F1 feed for it, and there has been no Hamilton chat other than just his engineer to tell him that there's potential stones on the track at turn 5. That's it.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, you're right, Oodles. That does mean Danny Rick on the front row for tomorrow. On the good side as well, starting in third.
Yes, third place. Yeah,
that's a good place to be.
Get a great start.
Yeah. Yeah, with I know it sounds daft, but with Norris in fourth and Hamilton fifth, I would almost be tempted if I was Norris to let Hamilton through to fourth, chuck him on the dirty side, and get yourself a nice slipstream behind your teammate in fifth for the start.
Yeah.
Might be an out there tactic, but it's worth a punt. You don't get any points for fourth or fifth, so
no, might as well make it easier for yourself.
Yeah, choose where you want to be. Do you want to be on the left or the right? And act accordingly. Yeah. So 4 laps left in this F1 sprint. What have you spotted, sir?
That was a bit of drift in there from Lewis. He lost a bit of time there.
He's down to more than a second. No, just under a second behind now.
Which is odd. With him being on the medium, he should be on the better tyre. Lando, lap 14 now is when these tyres should have originally, though, predicted to go.
Yeah.
But having those 3 laps under the safety car, like we said earlier, could have majorly helped those soft tyres out.
So they're investigating the Perez and Stroll incident now.
Interesting.
I do wonder if, because it was very obvious that he should not have held that place, whether the fighting that took place after it would be deemed unnecessary and he may be penalised for it. I think it'd be difficult to administer that with the rule book, but we've seen them find a way this year, even. So we'll keep an eye on that. Giovinazzi doing well, staying in 8th.
Yes.
He's having a good race for himself.
What amazes me in this is, even though the gap is just under 3 seconds between Ricciardo and Norris, they reckon that Norris is still able to get a tow from Ricciardo around the track.
That's incredible that it creates that level of a slipstream that 3 seconds behind, you can still benefit from it. That's amazing. That's incredible. It
just shows you that how, once you do get in that dirty air, how much of an effect it can have on your car.
Yeah. Yeah, hugely.
Hey, George has now got Latifi in his sights to build up from 15th to hopefully get 14th.
Not sure what difference it makes at this stage, personally. I mean, another place on the grid, fine, but again, pick your side. Where do you want to be, on the left or the right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you perceive to be the best air, give you the best slipstream, cleaner side of the track? There's going to be a lot of action on that track tomorrow before we get to the Formula One.
Yes.
Really pick your spot here.
So Lewis is clawing his way back. Is now 0.8 of a second behind. Now in DRS range, but with only 2 laps to go, can he do anything? I mean, yeah, of course. I forgot about that with Bottas with his grid penalty. Danny Rick is on the front row. He's in the wrong position off the grid.
Oh yeah, and
Norris is in.
Yeah, I totally misread what Oodle said. Yeah, front row, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about Bottas as well. Yeah, sorry to go into special Secret Service mode there. I was listening to the FIA radio, conversing with Red Bull about what happened with Perez. Red Bull basically asked what they were investigating, and they're investigating whether, in not giving the place back immediately, whether they gained an advantage by hindering Lance Stroll at that point. So it is basically what I suggested it would be.
Yeah.
Could end up being punished for that. It was very obvious that he did not deserve that place. There was no contact. He wasn't pushed off. He cut that corner. He made the left turn. Oh, I'll shut my mouth. No further action. It has been investigated and dismissed. So there we are. Perez maintains his place in 9th, and Daddy's boy will have to suck eggs in 10th. We're on the final lap. It looks pretty elementary at this stage. I wish this leaderboard would stop jumping all over the place. Doing my head in. We're looking at
final.
A Bottas win, Verstappen 2nd, and Ricciardo 3rd. As we say, Bottas will start at the back tomorrow. So our starting 3 at the front tomorrow is Verstappen, Ricciardo, and Norris.
So 2 McLarens in the top 3.
You love to see it.
Lovely.
Yeah, so I'll completely disregard what I was saying about Norris potentially letting Hamilton through to get that better side, because I forgot about the place being removed in front of him. So,
with this being the last lap, and we're pretty much... This is going to be our... What do you think of the sprint race we've had?
I think without the crash and the action at the beginning, it may have been fairly procession-y. But even under a procession, I think having more competition, more actual racing on a race weekend can only be good. It could have been, the dullest thing ever, but for there to be actual points on the line, I still think that's better than your regular qualifying on a Saturday, race on a Sunday, and I'll take this every race weekend myself. What about you?
I think it would have been interesting to see how the tyres would have panned out for McLaren without having that safety car. Would that have meant Lewis would have gone back up to 3rd? But I'm kind of glad we had the safety car, so it's given us this, because then it showed that Lewis couldn't overtake the McLarens.
That's true. Yeah, the overtaking didn't happen. And under normal circumstances, under a normal qualifying, I don't think you see like the McLaren's 2-3. I don't think that happens.
Yeah.
With another shot at qualifying today, you'd have probably seen Lewis in the top 3, maybe even Perez in the top 3, Bottas in the top 3. So it's definitely changed the dynamic for tomorrow's race, and I like that. I like that Hamilton now has to fight his way to the front, and I'm sure he will. But it's nice.
Well, we now know that he can't overtake those McLarens when they're on their game.
Yep.
I love that there's someone now hand engraving the medals. That's impressive to get something that clean, that quick.
Yeah. No, I've seen some live engraving, and if you're good at it, it can look professional in seconds.
Yeah.
A good engraver is worth their weight in gold, I think.
I am not a good engraver. I do own an engraver, and how do I put this politely and politically correctly? It looks like I'm sneezing when writing a signature. That's about as good as it comes out.
I can't quite put in my brain how you were going to say that in a non-politically correct way. Perhaps you can you can message me later. But
yes.
But yeah, that's a story for another day. Let's look at our predictions. I think you might take this for the sprint. So
I think I can get a point for that. I'm quite happy with that.
Let's just So
although
I don't know, Reese. Yeah, I think no,
but
it's hard.
We've got to put Bottas in this because it's not. This is the winners of the sprint, not how they line up in qualifying tomorrow.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, Bottas is in absolutely. So you've got you've got 2 out of the 3 in the top 3, and Reese.
I've got one of them right as well.
Yeah, and Reese doesn't. He's got 1 in Max. Yeah, so yeah, I'm making the decision with your top 3 of Lewis, Max, Bottas. You get the point. It's in the wrong order,
Lovely.
But it's better than Reese's Max, Lewis, Norris, and my Max, Lewis, Perez, which are frankly nowhere close. You've got 2 out of 3, which is good enough for me, which puts you in the lead in our prediction competition for the year. You're now on 5, yes. I'm trailing you half a point behind with 4.5, and Reese is way off in the distance with his 1.5. But
so it's going to be an interesting one between us tomorrow then, because obviously both of us have seen what's gone on, and Reese hasn't.
No, I expect he will go back and watch it later. But
yes,
yeah, there's nothing like talking it through live and having that live analysis going to make you think about it. But we'll reserve our predictions for the start of tomorrow's stream.
Indeed,
and we'll go from there. And yes, as long as Reese doesn't win tomorrow, it will be either you furthering your lead or me taking the lead. But it's becoming very competitive. It's very close at this stage of the season, shall we say. And we've still got our overall predictions locked in an envelope that we placed at the beginning of the season to go through later.
It'll be interesting because obviously we did our what ridiculous thing do you think will happen in the season? I can't wait to see what we put for that.
I don't even remember what I put for that.
I don't.
Not
I don't at all.
I'm gonna be as surprised as everybody else when I read out what I said.
I tell you one thing. This is going off on a tangent for later tomorrow for when we both do 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
But this is so you can think about it. I want to do the same with you in the NFL. So something like, I don't know if you listen to the NFL podcast, but they do it for sandwiches.
Okay.
So my bet will be to you for tomorrow for a foot-long sub of your choice, and vice versa. That I'll come up with something that's completely ridiculous that I think will happen. And then if you come up with something as well.
That's fine. We can absolutely do that. We do hold a prediction competition, and as the stand-in host tomorrow, you will get to give your predictions as well. But you basically would like to throw in a bold kind of prediction kind of thing.
One bold prediction for the season.
Okay.
So that we can, at the end of the season, we can see if that has happened. It's got to be so ridiculous that can't happen in like week 1. It's going to be something that happens throughout the 17 weeks, 18 weeks.
Right. Well, it's a good job you've given me 24 hours to think about that, because that's not something that you come up with on the top of your head. So that's fine. No,
not at all.
But yes, that is an excellent segue as well into talking about tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow for the Italian Grand Prix. Do we know what time that kicks off? Is it at 2:00?
I believe it's 2:00, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's normal European time.
So we'll be back at about 1:30, I would say, to get all of our predictions and talk about the grid and talk about this and educate Reese in what happened during this sprint. And immediately following that, I would expect, or if not, at 4:00 UK time, in the same places here on all of the places that the Effing Race Show is currently broadcasting. It's 2-minute warning. And Duff is standing in for Matt, who has other family commitments, and we'll get you ready for week 1 in the NFL.
Going
to be super exciting for me until the Bears play on Sunday night, and then the excitement will wane quite rapidly, I expect.
Tell me about it. I think both of us are going to be
it's not going to be a great year
sad on Monday
for both of our teams, to be fair. But we digress. Thank you very much to everyone that has joined us today, whether you tuned in on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, or if you are listening later on one of the many podcast channels we now launch to. Here's Sports Ball. You just tuned into a sports broadcast, Harmstone. Thanks. Thanks for the lurk, though. And we will see you tomorrow. Duff, regale us. Say goodbye.
I'm saving it for tomorrow.
Oh. That's...
Plus, until that second, I completely forgot. Ciao!
Okay, well, I'll try and throw one of my own then. Arrivederci.
Why not?
Hasta la vista.
I'm going all out tomorrow.
Okay. Well, if you're not here for the racing tomorrow, tune in for Duff's goodbye in the medium of Italian. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye, everybody.